Okay, great. Then I think we can begin. Today is very, very, very special. And across the globe, Ayudh unite and reflect. So we'll just start with some introductions for the Swamis. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the Swamis, so they need no introduction, but we'll just give a brief one. And then we'll start with meditation and then have a satsang and then Q&A. So I'll get started. Swami Dayamritananda Puri is one of Amma's most senior disciples. He met Amma more than 40 years ago and is now the executive director of MA Centers. And over the past 28 years, Swamiji has traveled extensively to different cities in the US, Canada, and South America, giving satsangs and counseling Amma satsang members and answering many questions. And he has been a great mentor to many Ayudians in North America and worldwide. And I'm sure you have seen Swami and interacted with him. And if you haven't, please take the opportunity to do so. So I'll hand it off to Aditya to introduce Madhavamrita Swamiji.
And Om Namah Shivaya to introduce for the APAC region, Brahmachari Madhavamrita Chaitanya Ji. He first met Amma in 1988 and began staying in Amritapuri ashram about a decade later. In 2001, Amma appointed him editor of the English edition of Mathruvani, the ashram's monthly magazine dedicated to promoting Amma's teachings and the principles of Sanatana Dharma. He as well assists in editing other ashram publications, and Madhavamrita Ji has been blessed with opportunities to sing with and play the harmonium for Amma and the senior Swamis. In October 2023, Amma posted him to Singapore, and since then, he's encouraged new initiatives across the APAC representative committees. Amongst these includes leading the monthly AYUDH Unite sessions, bringing his wisdom and inspiration to the APAC community.
Thank you. So, can we begin with a prayer?
Yes, Swami.
Yes, Swamiji.
Om Dhyayamo Dhavlavagundhanavatim Tejomayim Nashtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashrimukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusikta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha.
Swamiji, we'll begin with a meditation led by Dayamrita Swamiji.
Yeah, kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column, your spinal column is erect. And slowly close your eyes. Try to observe your breath just for a couple of minutes. Follow each and every inhalation and exhalation that occurs through your body. As you watch your breath, you will also start relaxing. Feel the tensions, the worries, the stress, the anxiety, slowly dissipating and going away. And feel completely empty. And now we'll chant Om 3 times. As we chant Om, imagine the sound of Om to arise deep within you from your navel area and visualize the sound rising upwards along your spine, cleansing your body, your mind, and the atmosphere around you as the vibrations go out of your body. And finally, visualize the Om merging in silence and feel and experience the silence. Now kindly take a deep breath. Feel the reverberations of Om in each and every part of your body. Once again, bring your awareness on your breathing. And now, as you breathe in, chant the mantra Ma silently along with your in-breath, and Om when you breathe out. Ma is a representation of divine love, and Om of divine light. You need not visualize love and light, but just feel the love and light entering into your heart and filling your heart. So continue for some time, chanting Ma and Om. Ma when you breathe in and Om when you breathe out. Slowly and slowly, the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtle. Instead of the physical sound of Ma and Om, just feel the vibrations, the subtle vibrations. Feel the energy of the breath. And now feel your heart being filled with the divine love and light, and your heart expanding like a flower bud that blooms into a beautiful and fragrant flower, giving sweetness and fragrance to everyone. Now visualize a ray of light filled with the qualities of peace, of love, of light, and of contentment and silence, going out from your heart to all the beings in this world. And as the light falls upon each and every being, just like the rays of the sun, imagine they also become more loving, more peaceful, more content, and more silent. And while imagining so, we will chant Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu prayer 3 times. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Okay, Swamiji. So next we'll start with the satsangs, and each of you share some thoughts about the topic. So I'll read the summary again of what the discussion today is about, and then we can start with maybe Dayamritananda Swami, and then Madhavaji can go after that. So the topic today is, nowadays anxiety has become a constant companion, whether it's the pressure of careers, daily stress, expectations from others, or battling imposter syndrome. The list is endless. We have so many different sources of anxiety. And for many of us, even everyday situations can feel very overwhelming. So how can we learn techniques to prevent us from spiraling into the pits of anxiety? Is it possible for us to kind of not really force ourselves to relax, but how can we achieve that kind of state of relaxation? So I'd like to invite Dayamritananda Swami. to give his thought.
Arun, do you have a time limit or how long?
Yes, Swamiji, I think maybe 10 minutes would be good because then Madhavamrita Swami can also speak and then we have time for questions. And I think that
Okay.
would be a good time.
Okay, thanks. Might not take the whole 10 minutes. I can donate it to Madhavamrita ji. So, Om Amriteshwari Nama. So glad to have everybody, and I'm already anxious to speak about anxiety. So let me first of all say that anxiety is can be grouped into one that is wanted, and the other one is unwanted anxiety. So definitely you need the wanted anxiety, right? Like for example, when a kid or a young boy is studying for exams, or anybody for that matter, exams, or you're going for a job interview, you need to have a little bit of anxiety. And you need to feel anxious, otherwise you're not going to push yourself to learn properly, to study properly, or to prepare properly for the interview. And I remember one of the incidents which one of the young kids in Amritapuri was telling Amma, and he said his parents was telling him, tomorrow is your exams, so you should study, and have you prepared well? Have you studied well? So he said, Amma has asked us to be in the present moment. So today I'm going to watch the TV, and tomorrow is the exam, so I'll deal with it tomorrow. So if you sit like that, then of course we are not going to achieve what the goal that we want to attain to. So that's why I said, there is wanted anxiety and unwanted anxiety. So this wanted anxiety is what pushes us to something more than what we want to achieve and what our goal is. And so definitely it helps us to move forward in our efforts. The problem is with the unwanted anxiety. And when we talk about the unwanted anxiety, of course it comes from a lot of factors. It can be physical, it can be mental, it can be psychological, and so it's pressure from the society, it's a pressure from other friends or relatives or everything. And so there are a number of factors that contribute to this. Especially, when we talk about this anxiety, as I said, first one is the physical. And many times when we talk about physical anxiety, it can be caused because of some sort of diseases. Some diseases can cause it. And so there are some side effects of medicines which we take, which causes anxiety and depression. That's also there. Then physically, as we don't feel so much better, or we feel down, our anxiety level goes up. And also, if, for example, if you're not diagnosed properly with the correct ailment that we have, we will be anxious also. So that's all, as I said, wanted or one unwanted anxiety, which may result in tension and other things. So this physical, when we think about these physical ailments, we have to understand whether are we, first of all, are we having any problems physically or not. If we are feeling over anxious about something, that is definitely, if it is physical, first of all, you need to do a medical checkup and get some medicines and treat it like that. The second one is mental anxiety. And many people who have mental diseases have anxiety. And they go through, as I said, one is anxiety, then which leads them to depression after some time. So we have to be careful when anxiety begins. So we have to understand that whether anxiety is warranted or unwarranted. And if it is unwarranted, and if you're just constantly experiencing anxiety, you should definitely find a counselor or a psychiatrist or and you should talk to them and get some advice as to how and why the anxiety persists. And the third type of anxiety, which I was saying, is in one case which is mental, and that arises many a times and in our lives. And most of the time, when it arises, what happens is it is very related to our mind. And of course, what makes us anxious is also the mind. So that's, first of all, that's what we have to understand, that these things are coming out of the mind only. And mind is the reason also for becoming anxious. And mind is also, when we calm the mind, it will make us peaceful also. So a silent mind is peaceful, whereas a noisy mind is anxious. And when we say noisy mind, what is the reason? When we think about it, we can understand there are two factors. One is the regrets or our experiences from the past can make us anxious. For example, when we are sitting alone, the other day I was sitting in the ashram, and there was a power failure. The electricity went off. And suddenly I started hearing the creak sound. And, to add to it, there was an owl also who has nested in the ashram. So the owl started hooting, and then the creaking sound started. I started becoming a little bit anxious. What is this? And finally, I realized it was, the ashram here in the US is made of wooden structures, and it creaks quite a lot. And I had not paid proper attention when it was creaking earlier, but now that when the lights went off, I had nothing else to do. I was focusing more on it, and that it kind of created that kind of an atmosphere where I started becoming anxious unnecessarily, just listening to the things. So in the Vedanta, that is one beautiful example they say, is when you see a rope, you feel it's a snake. So that's the mind. That's the trick of the mind. That the mind shows the rope as the snake and the snake as also a rope. So it can be both. So when we think about this, the first and foremost way to combat this anxiousness is, of course, as we say, all the spiritual practices. All spiritual practices is to quieten our mind. All spiritual practices tend to attack the mind, because, as you know, the mind is something. It starts from the consciousness, it attains a name and a form, and then it goes outside. So the spiritual practices are bringing it back to from the world, which is association with the senses, back to the the mantras, and ultimately to the silence. So we have to understand that's very essential, especially for the young people nowadays. I hear a lot of complaints saying that I don't have time for spiritual practices. We have to understand that if we take just 5 to 10 minutes in our daily life, and you don't have to brush your teeth, you don't have to take a bath. As soon as you get up, just sit on your bed, or it's better not to sit on your bed, but on a chair, because if you sit on your bed, you'll go back to sleep. So there are chances of going back to sleep. So chair is better. And sit on a chair and start your meditation. And do it at least for just 10 to 15 minutes. And you can see the visible change in how you interact with people, how the day goes and how the day ends by just doing this 10 to 15 minutes of practice every day. That doesn't mean you have to do spiritual practices only for 15 minutes, but I'm just saying it just, if you say that I don't have time, it's better to start early in the morning and do it and be done with it. So you will also see how you interact with other people in your office, how they will interact with you, and you will be less tense, you will be less anxious. And what happens is, as a result of which, you will make others also peaceful. Amma tells the story of a man who had a headache, and he went on telling everybody in his office, I have a headache, I have a headache, I have a headache. Finally, everybody around him got headaches. So, instead of that, we have to understand that how do we not infect everybody with our anxiety, rather than infect them with peace and with more silence and calmness. So definitely start your day with spiritual practices that will bring benefits. The other thing, as Amma says, is also chanting mantras. Definitely, whenever you get time, like when you are driving or when you are sitting quiet, even Amma says when you are sitting in the toilet, it doesn't matter. You chant your mantras, and the mantras will reduce the number of thoughts and the anxiety in your mind. So that's also another way. See, and as I said, one of the main ingredients is our anxiety about the future and the regrets about the past. So these two things makes us also very anxious, because as we know, we have so many associations with the past. As I said, like the ghost story, because we have heard so many ghost stories, that's why you feel that there is a ghost in the house or there's a ghost somewhere hiding, and which makes us anxious. Or the other things also is what will happen in my future. So we are anxious about the future also. So either way, one of the things to prevent these things is again the control of the mind, which is the controlling the thoughts, which comes back again to spiritual practices. And it's okay, in one sense it's okay to get anxious. So the best trick is to trick the mind itself. The mind plays so much tricks on you. So first of all, don't believe your mind. Your mind is the biggest liar. So when the mind starts saying all these things, don't believe it. You don't have to become identified with those thoughts and understand that, yo, I am anxious, I am anxious. So finally, you are anxious because you think you are anxious. It's not like anything else. So you have to be careful in that sense also, that so if you are anxious, so what? That's not the end of the world. And so that is the nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is to make you anxious and to repeat that pattern again and again and keep on doing the same thing. So at that time, if you want to cut out the pattern, what you do is you just that you are anxious. And second thing, what happens when you become anxious? You just watch your breath. And when you watch your breath, you'll see that the rate of breathing will go up and down. So watch your breath and slowly just take a few seconds or even few minutes to breathe. And before, especially when, as Amma says, there should be a gap between the thought and your action. So you take a couple of breaths, deep breaths. If you are very anxious and you're going to talk to somebody or you're going to react, especially, take a couple of breaths. And suppose you are sitting in, like to write an exam or appearing an interview. If you're anxious, just sit down, close your eyes, take a few breaths and rest yourself. So that will help you. And I think I will probably stop here, and if if you need to answer more things, we can discuss it during the question answer session. And I'll hand over the job to Madhavamrita ji to have his talk about and how he feels about anxiety. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dayamritananda Swami. It seems to me that we live in an age of anxiety. Anxiety seems to be like fear, but it's actually quite different. Fear is usually an emotional response to a threat that we perceive in the present, whereas anxiety is often over a future event. And so these could be events that cause personal anxiety, and Swamiji has actually mentioned some of them, like an upcoming examination could be the results of some kind of medical test, for example, or they could be social situations that make us nervous. All the events could be impersonal, but they still make us anxious. For example, global warming, pandemics, or the looming threat of war. So whatever the nature of our anxieties, we must try to gain some self-control. If the anxiety is so crippling that it impairs our ability to function, then we need to try and take control by asking ourselves what we can do and focus on that. In other words, we must try to remain in the present moment. Dayamritananda Swami also said that, and I would like to repeat this briefly, we cannot avoid stress or anxiety completely in life, and that's what Amma says also. Amma says that some forms of stress are good for us because they take us out of our comfort zones. They challenge our limitations and help us grow. So we ought to embrace the source of our anxiety, because that exposure makes us more resilient by creating resistance to the anxiety. One other thing that I'd like to perhaps open up for further consideration is spiritual masters often talk about sattva, rajas, and tamas. Now, from which of these three does anxiety arise? It seems to me that anxiety has roots in both rajas and tamas. From rajas, because anxiety has a nervous, restless kind of energy to it, and from tamas because crippling anxiety or despair has a very dark kind of energy. So if the mind is tamasic, you cannot immediately jump to sattva. So we should try to activate the rajas in us. So we should basically get up and do some action. If the mind is rajasic, then I think we should try and calm the mind down and make it more sattvic, and that's where mindfulness or any meditation practice comes in. But if our anxiety or mental health disorder is severe, then meditation isn't recommended. It's best to get out of the mind by engaging in physical work of some sort. One other thing that I'd like to mention, and I think it's relevant to the topic, is that there is a direct correlation between the dependence on digital devices and anxiety or mental health issues. There is a separation or the separation anxiety an addict feels when the device is taken away. There is the anxiety that's caused by feelings of inadequacy that arise when we see unrealistic depictions of the body or of relationships, for example, on social media. There is sleep deprivation that arises when we are addicted to our devices, and there's social isolation. All these can and will lead to neurotic behavior. So the antidote is digital detox once in a while, and any kind of activity that makes us more centered in the physical world. Much of the anxiety that we feel today can be traced back to a sense of purposelessness and loneliness. We all live in shells, we all lead we all live in this, atomized world. In spite of or because of the internet and social media, we have become less connected to each other compared with people from an earlier era who could get the consolations of being part of a much larger community. So we need to reconnect with each other. We need to reconnect with nature, and we need to reconnect most of all with our inner world. Being part of a satsanga or being part of a sangha can give us all these consolations and more. Spirituality offers purpose, and purpose always allays anxiety. If we are anxious, it's because we are temperamentally disposed towards it, or perhaps we are genetically predisposed towards anxiety, or both. Sometimes, as Swamiji said, therapy can help. At other times, medication might be necessary. Today, there is greater awareness of and conversations about mental health issues, and the stigma associated with them is slowly disappearing. So let's continue doing what we can to become more aware of our own mental health issues and do what we can to heal ourselves. That's it from my side for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are now going to open the floor for a question and answer session based on both Swamiji's wonderful talks. Yeah, I guess I can go first. You said that like connecting to nature helps with anxiety. So do you think like pretending to be a parrot would help with my anxiety?
Dayamritananda Swami, you need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, are you asking the question too?
Yeah,
You can
so
name
sorry.
the Swami.
Yeah, Dayamritananda Swami, you can answer.
It's not pretending to be like a parrot. It's when you feel anxious, you just go out and spend time in nature, and or you observe nature, listen to the sounds of nature, and be out in nature for some time, and feel all the beings in nature, and so that by itself will reduce the anxiety, and you will feel much calmer. So
Thank you
you don't
so
have
much.
to you don't have to be a parrot or a monkey.
Yeah, I think I identify more as a monkey. I'm so sorry. Like this was meant to break the ice. Like the topic was a bit serious, so wanted to break the ice a little bit. Thank you guys.
So you broke the the fridge, not the ice.
Do I have to answer it?
I think only
Okay.
if you want to. It was a unserious question.
No, the
Yeah.
thing is, I do think that, spending time in nature is one of the greatest stress busters. When I was in the ashram, and especially when I used to get extremely stressed, I used to go to the beach and I used to spend time by the beach. And the thing is, I would not try to meditate. I would just sit there for some time, and invariably, every single time I found that after spending about half an hour just sitting by the beach, listening to the ocean, listening to the din of the waves, I found that I would be calmer. And because of that, I'm a strong believer and advocate of spending as much time in nature as possible. I live in a city that has very little of nature, but at the same time, I'm really blessed that just outside the window where I'm seated, the most salient thing that I can see is the branches of this huge tree. It's an old tree, and so sometimes I just spend my time. I turn to my right side and I just look at the tree, and I find that that invariably calms me down. I'm not sure what the science behind it is. How is it that nature calms us down? But um, perhaps what it does is it takes us outside our own mind. We are often identified with the thoughts, and it's this identification that causes anxiety. But when we can, uh, if we do not know how to disidentify or disassociate ourselves from the mind and its thoughts, then a very simple technique is to just become aware of nature. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you so much. If anyone else wants to like unmute and ask a question, or please feel free to type your questions in the chat below.
Swami, continue on with the same nature theme. I was just thinking, sometimes when
Kaiva,
this
you're very hard to hear.
huge like mountains, we feel this. Sorry, is it a little better now?
It's
Yeah.
it's laggy, but maybe you can go to Ritesh.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's okay.
I'll bring it here.
okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Can you unmute it where? Oh, it's
Yeah,
unmuted. Okay.
we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I was just sometimes when you're in front of a huge mountain or something and you feel this like magnanimity, um, it feels there's some kind of spiritual like element to that. Is do you and it like really calms you when I see something just like or like the galaxy and the stars and is there anything like spiritual like an angle to that, do you think?
Okay, I'll go first. So Amma says nature is the visible form of God. So it's not separate from God. And you can feel humble, and you can feel beauty. You can see the beauty. You can feel the calmness. You can see the silence. You can see everything which is part of or the qualities that God represents, or the ideal of God represents. And so that, like as you said, when you go and stand in front of a mountain, or when you go and stand in front of the sea, the ocean, uh, it makes you feel small at the same time, but yet, you see, when you see the vast expanse, And when you see the vast expanse, you feel so happy. Why? Because that is your real nature. Your real nature is not limited to this body. And that's why when you go out into the nature, you feel that kind of a freedom where you understand, or at least you get a clue about who you really are. And that's what it makes you feel, that happiness, what brings that happiness within you. And also, you when you see the awe, when you see the creation, you feel that there is somebody behind it. And if there's somebody behind it, then who is behind me is the question. So like that, also you can go in that path also, and connect yourself with God. So it's basically it's how you are connecting with God, either through nature or through your mind or through your the feeling of oneness.
Um, Thanks for that question, Kaiva. I think basically you kind of indicated the answer in the words that you used. You were saying that you feel this immense magnitude of the mountain when you look at the mountain, or when you look at the sky, you just feel so dwarfed. And the fact is that when we are in nature, it gives us a sense of perspective of where our problems and where our sources of anxiety um, really are. The thing is, compared to the immensity, compared to the magnitude of the whole universe, we find that all our problems pale in comparison. Um, so I think that's one of the therapeutic effects of being in nature. Um, about a month and a half ago, I had an opportunity to travel to Malaysia, and Malaysia is huge compared to Singapore. It's of course tiny compared to the US. But one of the things that struck me when I was there, especially when I was actually traveling from one location to the next, is that I could see so much more of the sky in Malaysia than I could, or than I can when I'm in Singapore, because in Singapore you've got so many tall buildings, you've got so many skyscrapers, you don't really see much of the sky. But because I could see so much more of the sky in Malaysia, and because it was new for me, I felt uplifted in spite of myself just by looking at the immensity of the vastness of the sky. So I think that's the advantage that nature offers. Nature is much, much larger than us, and if we feel ourselves being overwhelmed by certain problem, then all we need to do is to maybe look at the sky, or look at the sea from time to time at least, yeah. And that puts things in perspective.
Thank you, Swami.
Uh, Thank you. We have an anonymous question from the chat. Namashivaya, both Swamijis. Very often we experience anxiety because we are concerned about the outcome. There's always something big at stake to lose or gain. How do we manage our expectations around the outcome? What will that help manage anxiety?
So let Madhavamrita ji go first, because I have been going first.
Okay. The thing is, as I had mentioned earlier, when we become too focused on the outcome, we are basically getting fixated on a future event. So the only thing that is within our control is what we can do. So if we are stressed about something, just ask ourselves, what can we do? For example, if we are stressed about an upcoming examination, then all that we can do right now is to prepare as well as we can, and then try and relax and do our best in the examination. The time spent fretting and worrying about how we're going to fare in the exams and about what kind of grade we're going to get in the future, it's really unproductive, it's really unprofitable, it's not going to help us in any way. If we could use that time instead doing something that will help us perform better in the examination, then we find that we can be less stressed about it. And the other thing is, in Sanatana Dharma, they tell us not to be too concerned about the outcome. They say that you have the right only to action and not to the fruits of your action. So the thing is, do what you can do and leave the rest to God. There are some things that we cannot do anything about. For example, you've not been feeling well, and so you go and see the doctor. The doctor orders a certain biopsy, for example, to be done. So the thing is, that test has been done, and you have to wait for a few days for the results. What can you do in the meantime? Of course, it's human nature, it's natural, it's completely human to worry about the outcome and fear that, oh, perhaps I have cancer, then what will I do if I have cancer? How will I live? How many more years will I have left? And the mind kind of starts to spiral out of control. So that's when we have to come and kind of try and anchor ourselves in the present moment, maybe through mindfulness practices, breath awareness, and all of those things. And here is when we can feel how beneficial prayer is, because if we can pray to our mind, if we can just surrender and lay down the burden of your anxieties in front of her, if you can just talk to her, that's a form of unburdening, and I feel that that will really help. So I would say that accept and acknowledge the anxiety that you're feeling about the outcome of whatever it is, but just ask yourselves, what can I do? And if there's something that I can do to contribute towards a better outcome, do that. If you can't, pray and surrender the outcome to God or to Amma.
Madhavamrita's answered most of it, but all I need to add is, one of the things you can do is, think about the possibilities of the outcome. Rama says this story of the man who went to ask for some money to his friend. His friend was rich, so he wanted $20,000. So he went to his friend. So the outcome is the friend can give him $20,000. The friend can give him $40,000 because he had not seen his friend for a long time. Or the friend can give $5,000. Or the friend can say, like, look, in fact, I am also having problems, financial problems. So I was, in fact, thinking of coming to you. So you take the different outcomes and understand what is the outcome. And once you know what the outcomes are, like if you say, for example, nowadays it's small things that youths are actually anxious about. I heard one of the things I heard is one young girl committed suicide because she did not have enough followers on her channel. That's why she committed suicide. I mean, when you write exams, the same thing. You have to understand what will be the outcome. You will pass, you will get good marks, or you will not get so good marks, or you will fail. Right? These are the outcomes that. So it depends also, as Madhavamrita was saying, how much effort you put. And you don't have to be stressed out, you don't have to be anxious about how you performed, because as Amma says, there are three factors always, and the most important thing is God's grace and time, and the other one is your effort. So to fulfill everything you need God's grace. So if you become anxious about the results, you are forgetting about the fact that God's grace is acting through each and every person and through you also. So what we have to understand is, first of all and foremost, as we need how to get God's grace. So Amma says we need humility, we need to have that surrender. So we have to have that attitude of a beginner. These are all the things which Amma says how to get grace. And so, if we follow those things, which Amma says very simply, it's very easy. That's what Amma has given us so many tips. And finally, the last thing which I wanted to say is, as Madhavamrita was saying about something about a disease or something, you go to Amma, see Amma, and if you tell Amma your problems, first of all, half the problem is gone by just telling Amma. And the second half you can understand by her reaction. Amma's reaction. Amma's reaction is very subtle. I remember this lady who had a pain in her throat, and she was having a small growth. And when she went and met the doctors said, "Oh, we have to take a biopsy." And she became so anxious, and she said, "Oh, it's cancer, this thing, that thing." And I told her, just go to Amma and tell her. So she went to Amma and she told Amma, and Amma said, "Don't worry." That's all Amma will say. Amma won't say that you have cancer or you won't have cancer. Amma said not to worry. But she kept on worrying, even after Amma said not to worry. Finally, the result was it was nothing but just a small growth. It was not cancer. It was nothing. Or maybe because of Amma's grace also, or Amma's blessing, her cancer became like that. That could also be the other reason. So the easiest thing, whenever we, as Madhavamrita was saying, if you cannot go to Amma, pray to Amma and ask for her help.
Sorry, if I may just add to that, because the thing is something that Dayamritananda Swamiji said reminded me of a certain incident that took place a few years ago. There was a university student who failed her first year examinations, and she was so distressed and distraught that she took her life. And when I heard about it, I was shocked, and it struck me that not so much of the fact that she has no resilience, but the fact that she has blown the whole thing, failure in one examination, out of proportion. So the thing is, sometimes we tend to make mountains out of molehills, as they say. We tend to see something as really some huge thing when it's in fact actually quite significant in a much larger scale of things. Yeah, so the thing is, try and understand, try and evaluate impartially of how much significance this is. If you fail in an examination or if you fall, then you can always repeat your examination again. You can always, prepare better. It's not the end of the world. So I think we need to try and gain a sense of how important something is. Once again, if you want to go back to the word that Kaiva used, it's a question of magnitude. In the larger scale of things, or in the larger scheme of things, these things are not really so important, or they are not as important as we think they are. And once we kind of understand that, and once we are able to understand the true import of something, then I think we won't become so anxious about it. Yeah, I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
That reminded me one more thing, to how to get out of anxiety very easily is, if you feel anxious, you just go and help someone, do some seva, and if you do that, then definitely you will get out of your, not only that you will get out of your anxiety, you will make the other person also happy, and the people whom you help is happy, and or doing seva that will benefit the people all around the world. So do that and get out of anxiety.
Namaskar, Swamiji. Madhavaji, can I ask you, Jignesh here, by the way, I have a teenage daughter. So I think they are at the age where, phones are like one of the biggest part in their lives. So you've mentioned how it keeps us so distracted. So I told my daughter this, that, a focused fool can accomplish greater things than a focused fool can accomplish greater things than a distracted genius. So I kept telling her that, keep the phone away, but somehow or other, it's so difficult at this age where, they go to school, they need the phone, in fact, all the time, even in school. But even to the extent when you are studying, they need the phone next to them. They have to look at pointers or what. But then along the journey, they may not be focused on what's important in the phone. So how, as a parent, do you think taking the phone away from them, or giving them a very short period of time for using the phone is the way to go?
Dayamritananda Swami.
Any Swamiji can help me, please. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, taking away the phone may work for some time, but that will make them more angry, and they will become more rebellious, and so they will find some other outlet where they would want to take their anger or their frustration. First and foremost thing you should do is you should spend some quality time. The parents should spend some quality time with their children. You have to sit with them, talk to them, ask them about their problems and how it went, and even, take them out for a walk or do something with them, play games or do something with them, so that their mind gets distracted and they're not just sitting near the phone. So this is the most important thing is how you spend your time. Nowadays, one of the things, I went to a devotee's home the other day, and he was, he's a little boy. And I was talking to him, and I asked him, how much does your parents spend time with you? And he said, oh, my mother is always busy cooking or doing something. And when my father comes back from home, and my mother is also working, my father is also working at home. And when I ask him a question, he just keeps typing on the computer and says, and he's not listening to me. And I know that he's not listening to me. So he's not paying attention. So what you need to do is, our parents need to do is, spend some quality time with them and make them understand that you love them, and you have to understand them, make them understand that you care for them. So that's the only way how you can get out of it. Of course, you can take it, as I said earlier, you can take the phone, you can put all these things, restrictions, but that may help only to a certain extent.
Thank you so much, Swamijis. The first question that was asked was from Naveen from Singapore. Wanted to add
No,
that.
1 minute, sorry. Does Madhavamrita ji want to add anything to that question?
Oh, okay. Thanks, Swami. The thing is, I think that what you said, I mean, the answer that you gave, that, parents should try and spend more time with the children, that basically answers the question. We find that children turn to devices when they're not getting any attention. So parents have a part to play. And now, having said that, what if your daughter or your son has already gotten the phone and she's using it? What can you do now? So you can try and spend some time. But apart from that, I know one parent in Singapore who has kind of set certain rules. It's not that her sons cannot use the phones, they can, but they have to surrender the phones to her by 10 or 10:30 every night. And she will return the phones to them maybe around 7 o'clock the next morning. The other things that some parents do is they curtail the number of hours that a child can spend on the phone. So it's not like you completely take the device away. You actually control the amount of time that the child spends with that device. But the thing is, it's best to nip the problem in the bud, because once a child has become addicted to the phone, then if you take the phone away, then it can be dangerous and it can lead to all kinds of very, very unpleasant situations. I know one devotee here, she's about 70 years old and she recently retired as a teacher. And she told me that a few years ago she was teaching, and she noticed one of the boys in the class using his phone, and she told him once, she told him twice, she told him thrice to keep the phone away, and he did not, in spite of repeated reminders. So, what she finally did was she confiscated the phone from the boy, and she said that she would give it back to him at the end of the class. This boy, who was about 14 or 15 years old, he became so enraged that he loudly said, "I'm going to kill you." Now, the thing is, the dependence on device has blinded them to basic decency and decorum. Nobody speaks to teachers that way, or at least you're not supposed to speak to teachers that way. But this is what addiction to devices can do. So the thing is, I feel that it's time. I mean, your daughter, as you said, is a teenager, so she's quite mature, or she's mature enough to understand why you're saying certain things. So you can tell her that, look, from this time to this time, you can use your phone, but at this time, I would like you to keep your phone by the side. I'm not going to take it away, but I'd like you to exercise self-control. So, throw the ball back into her court and then says that, keep the phone by side, and then you can always get back, go back to your phone after some time. So try and have this, dialogue with her, engage with her, try to make her see reason as far as possible. Yeah. If the child is younger, then you can set certain clear rules for that person. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to add was, fortunately or unfortunately, the children learn a lot from their parents. And, their role models in life is their parents. But they learn the wrong things very quickly, and they are very slow to learn the good things. So, parents need to be role models. And especially what I wanted to say about that was, you have to, in olden times, you remember the whole family used to sit at 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night and do prayers for half an hour. So you can do something like that in the morning as well as in the evening. Sit together, do some prayers or do meditation, so that they also feel that they are part of the family and doing something which will calm their mind. Okay, Ritu, sorry.
Yeah. So sorry, just wanted to let you guys know we have about 5 more questions left. Just wanted to let you know. Yeah, I think Sairam had a question. If you want to unmute Sairam.
Namaste, Swamiji. Whenever I'm getting back my exam results, I always feel very anxious because I think I might not do well. Is there anything I can do to calm myself down?
Can you repeat? I mean, somebody who heard the question can repeat it, because I didn't hear it properly.
I didn't hear it properly either.
Can you come closer to the microphone and say that, please?
Whenever I'm getting back my examination results, I'm always very anxious because I think I might not do well. Is there anything I can do to calm myself down?
Did you hear the question, Dayamritananda Swami? He's
I
saying that
think he said
whenever he gets
before.
back his examination results, he feels very anxious because he fears that he has not done well. What can he do to calm himself down?
See, like Madhavamrita ji said about, first of all, the results. You have to understand the results are not in your hands alone. Okay, if you tried and if you did well, you had put enough effort, then the rest you have to leave it to God, right? So Amma says the example, like when one examiner was looking at the result, she was grading the papers, one examiner. Her husband had gone away from her, ran away. And actually, what he had done was he had gone on a train. So whenever she used to hear the sound of the train, she became so anxious. And at that particular time, while she was grading the paper, a train passed by, and she could not grade the paper properly. So whose fault is it? Is it the person who did not write the paper properly, or is the teacher, or what happened to the teacher? So we have to understand that there is a power beyond our control, right? That gives us the mark. So ultimately, you have to understand that you have to surrender, and you keep trying. Don't worry about if you got less marks than what you had intended, or what you had thought about, expected. So don't worry about it. Try next time. And before you write the exam, pray to Amma to give you and the examiner and your teacher, the grace to grade the paper as well as to write the paper properly.
Sairam, one thing that struck me is that if you're feeling anxious after you have already sat for the exams and you're waiting for the results, that's natural, that's normal. But how you can help yourself in the future is set yourself a goal. If your goal, for example, is to score 95 marks out of 100 in your examination, then what do you need to do in order to reach that goal? So you need to spend a certain amount of time every single day, or at least 5 or 6 days a week, to study for the exam. And how do you have to prepare for the exam? So you have to do all of that work, and then you have to sit for the exam. Once that is done, then the ball is not in your court anymore. Then you just have to basically move on to the next thing, do whatever you can. And if you're still feeling anxious, pray to God. That's it. So there's nothing you can do about that. And feeling anxious isn't going to increase the marks or decrease the marks that you're going to get, because you've already done the deed. But if God's grace is there, then the examiner will feel kindly disposed towards all the answers, or might be in a good mood when she's marking your exam sheet, and then she'll give you good grades. But the more important thing is, what can you do? What you can do is to study hard, to set a goal, and to create a timetable so that you work towards reaching that goal of scoring 95 marks in your examination. Thank you, Zainab. All the best.
I just wanted to
Thank
say
you.
one the quick funny thing that happened in Amritapuri. During one of the exams, I think it's a Sanskrit exam, one of the kids, the small kids, went and wrote Amma's 108 names because they did know the answers very well, and they came first in the class. So, in one sense, you have to understand it doesn't depend upon how well you do. They got the good grades because of the grace.
Thank you, Swamiji. That's a very funny example. So we're almost at time. So I think we have time for one more question, and then we will do bhajans with AYUDH Chicago. So Nagaraj, you had a question. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Namah Swamiji. Hello, Namah
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Swamiji. I want to ask questions to why will why will I why uh, why will be I'm easy to anger and lost patience and overthinking so much or anxiety. So can you answer to me? Thanks.
So, Swami, did you understand the question?
Swamiji, you're muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
Okay. I think what he was asking is, why is it that we are quick to get angry and lose our patience? What can we do about it? Yeah.
You want to go ahead?
Um, Basically, the answer is a lack of self-control. Um, Amma says that, sometimes we think but we don't act, and sometimes we act but we don't think, but we need to, uh, and the two need to go hand in hand. So the thing is, we need to be aware of the consequences of our actions. So we have to ask ourselves why we are, getting angry. Is it because we are getting frustrated because we want to go somewhere but we are not able to reach that goal? And so once we understand the cause of our irritation, then the thing to do, Amma says, is to press the pause button. Wait until you can respond in a more calm and measured tone. There is a famous example that Amma gives. A famous scholar, he gave a talk, and at the end of the talk, a member of the audience wrote a letter to him criticizing various things that he had mentioned during the talk. And this scholar was so full of pride, so full of himself, that when he saw this letter of criticism, he was so enraged that he wrote out a reply that was full of invective, that was full of rage, and that was full of contempt and spite. And once he finished writing that letter, he felt a little better because he had unburdened himself. But he thought himself, no, it's a little angry. Just let me keep it here. It's already nighttime. I'll post it first thing in the morning. The next morning, after he woke up and when he saw the letter, he felt that he had gone overboard. So he thought, let me tone this down. So he rewrote that letter. And then before he posted it, he had some time. And during this time, he had occasion to reflect on the criticisms that this lady had leveled at him. And he realized that some of the things that she had said were in fact valid. He should have qualified what he said, or he should have explained something better, and some of the points that he mentioned was incorrect. And so, long story short, basically he wrote back a letter saying, thank you for that letter. Your letter has opened my eyes to the many mistakes that I made, and I certainly stand corrected, and I would like to meet you, and so that we can actually have more constructive criticism, and I can learn from more from you and all that. And so that's what happened. So the point is that if we can press the pause button and try and force ourselves to exercise patience if we are not naturally patient, then we find that we can maybe react less angrily and respond in a more meaningful way.
Okay. Due to the lack of time, I'm not. What Madhavamrita ji said was, I feel, is very complete. I don't want to comment more.
Okay, thank you, Swamiji. And for others who have submitted their questions through private chat, so we wrote them all down. We will send them to the Swamijis afterwards, and then we'll share their response to you. So please, if you need if you need to send us your contact information, please do that so that we can find you afterwards. Okay. So before we do bhajans, we're about to do bhajans. Before we do that, if you feel comfortable, if you please turn on your video, we'll take a group photo. I think this is a great occasion. We're all together. It's a good connection. So if you feel comfortable, please turn it on, and we'll take a picture.
That's a great idea. Thanks.
Oh, it's so great to see everybody. Okay. Shyam, will you count us down? I don't know when you'll be taking the picture.
Yeah. Is everybody's video on? Madhavaji, would you like to give the cue? Yeah, I think we're all ready.
What cue am I supposed to give? Sorry.
3, 2, 1, no. Mata Rani Ki or something.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Mata Rani ki.
Jai.
Mata Rani ki.
Jai.
Mata Rani ki. Jai. Okay.
Okay. Oh, great. Awesome. So I think this is great. So we'll transition into the bhajan right now. So AYUDH Chicago has gathered and have prepared a bhajan for us. So we're very excited. Let me spotlight them so we can see them.
We have Amrita Varshini from Amritapuri here listening, and I wanted to acknowledge her. It's interesting to see her.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes. It's a little soft though.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Oops.
Just highlight them.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jagadambe Durge Ma, Jai Jagadambe Durge Ma, Oh Jai Jagadambe Durge Ma, Jai
Jagadambe Durge Ma,
Janma Vinashini Jai Jai Ma, Jagadodharini Shri Kari Ma,
Vinashini Jai Ma, Jagadodharini Shri Kari Ma.
Janma Vinashini Jai Jai Ma, Jagadodharini Shri Kari Ma,
Vinashini Jai Ma, Jagadodharini Shri Kari Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai विष्णुविलासिनि लक्ष्मी मां विश्वविमोहिनि पार्वती मां
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 विद्यादायिनि सरस्वती मां विमलसुहासिनि जय जय मां
विद्यादायिनि सरस्वती मां विमलसुहासिनि जय जय मां
मैया विद्यादायिनि सरस्वती मां विमलसुहासिनि जय जय मां
विद्यादायिनि सरस्वती मां विमलसुहासिनि जय जय मां
जय जय मां जय जय मां जय मां जय 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 मां जय मां जय जय मां कामितदायिनि देवी मां कामविनाशिनि काली
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 कालस्वरूपिणि भैरवी मां करुणामयि जगदम्बे मां
कालस्वरूपिणि भैरवी मां करुणामयि जगदम्बे
ओ कालस्वरूपिणि भैरवी मां करुणामयि जगदम्बे मां
कालस्वरूपिणि भैरवी मां करुणामयि जगदम्बे मां
जय जय मां जय मां जय जय मां
जय मां जय मां जय मां जय जय मां
जय 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 मां जय मां जय जय मां
जय मां जय मां जय मां
जय मां जय मां जय जय मां जय 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 मां जय मां जय मां जय मां जय जय मां
जय मां जय मां जय
जय जय जय जय जय जय मां जय मां जय मां जय जय मां जय मां Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai 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 Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma,
It was beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. It's late at night. Thank you for just joining for that. Some people were wondering if it was karaoke or pre-recorded. It was so good. So just wanted to say this is live. They're over there right now, and it's beautiful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So that brings us to the end of Ayudh Reflect today. Swamiji, would either of you like to do closing prayers?
Madhavamrita, you please go ahead.
Shall we just chant Loka Samasta 3 times? Is that okay? Okay. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Swami.
Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Sure. Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you. Namaste, Swamiji. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you, Swami.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Arigatos, she.
Namaste, Swami. Thank you so much.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you, Swamiji.
She.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much.
You guys.
Namaskar.
Nusra, thank you.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Ritu, thank you.
That was me.
Even in my sleep, I can understand who it is. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much bye. Okay.